Let's look at, like, when someone tells a woman to be nice, I'd say what they often mean is, like, don't challenge authority, like, don't speak up, don't take up space, don't stand up for your needs, don't show anger. We already had that. Like, don't rock the boat, just kind of like play along, put others first. Like, this is something that gets exploited in emotional labor in systems like the church. It's like, stay small, stay quiet, stay compliant, like all these things that we attribute as like how a woman should be.
Well, hi there, and welcome to a Sit With Me podcast. My name is Solène, and I am your host. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you're probably like, who is this Tiva? Who is that? Well, it is me. It's very much me. However, new year, new look. If you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, I did mention that I'm starting my hair growth journey. I decided to let my hair grow, and in the meantime I wanted to have fun with hair, and I wanted to do something that has been on my to-do list for such a long time, on my bucket list, and it is getting myself some hair and some wigs and just have fun with it, because why not, right? So while my hair is growing, I'm gonna enjoy this new look of mine. This is how you're gonna see me on social media and outside, etc, etc. New hair, but same me, very much Solène, your host. So now that this is out of the way, just like this hair in my face, welcome to this week's episode. It's a great one. I am sitting down with Jennifer Walter, and Jennifer Walter is a mental health practitioner and a sociologist based in Switzerland. And I found her on social media. I was scrolling on my For You page and she was all over my For You page, and as soon as I got into her content, I knew that I wanted to have a conversation with her. It is probably one of my most unscripted quote unquote episode, because I knew that whatever we were to talk about, it would be great, and we did deliver. And in this week's episode, we're talking about our people-pleasing tendency, particularly as women, the fact that we are socialized and trained and expected to be nice and to stay nice. We talked about the fact that there is a difference between being kind and being nice, and she gives us actionable insight on how to get over our people-pleasing tendencies, and if you want to stop being nice all the time, even when, you know, your life is in danger, even when your integrity is in danger. She gives us like key actionable insights. But we also talk about positivity and the importance of community, the fact that in order to be better, in order to heal, in order to live a better life, it does not just rely on us at like an individual level, but it also requires community. And I keep saying that we all need each other. We cannot do anything on our own. We need each other. So yeah, I sat down with Jennifer, and it was an absolute blessing. And if I ever go to Switzerland, which it is on my list to visit that beautiful country, I will definitely contact her so we can grab a coffee. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. And without further ado, please take a seat with Jennifer. Thank you so much for sitting down with me, Jennifer. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for reaching out, Solène, and inviting me to be on your podcast. I always like to do podcasts. So yes. I'm just hope I'm as you said before, as poignant orally than as in writing. So let's see.
Yes, exactly. And I found, like I was saying to you right before, I found you on TikTok on my For You page, or all over my For You page. And I found that your points were so forward and honest and true, and I was like, I need to sit down with you and talk, and just talk. I think it's gonna be the episode that I scripted the list, because I just want to have a conversation and pick your brain about so many things and topics from your perspective as a sociologist, because it's not every day that you get the chance of talking to a sociologist. So I'm just
okay. You're hyping me up, so let's see.
I mean, you are pretty freaking amazing. I listened to your podcast. You are pretty. If you didn't know, just so you know, just so you hear it.
I'm not. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm not like. Yeah. It's really great to see. It started recently to see a broader interest in social themes like power structures and access. And there's so many things that I'm like, girl, we cannot, like, no, let's do things differently. So I'm really excited to go about it and just Come
I
at
mean,
me with your
it's true.
questions.
Like more and more people are taking an interest, like you say, into social and power structure. I think because we finally more and more aware of it. It's so much in our face that we can't ignore it. It's just, and we
We
have time now. We have
yes.
time to think about it as much as we think that we give so much to our work. Still, we have more time than our parents and our grandparents to actually be like, wait, what is a power structure and what am I doing what I'm doing, and can we change it, and actually everyone is unhappy, can we do something about it? So but you
Yes.
starting there, when did that start for you? Why did you become a sociologist? Because I never heard of anyone becoming a sociologist. You know of the you know of the profession, but I never met someone. So
Yeah.
what made you want to become a sociologist?
That's the thing. It's a field that when you study it, I think you're like I have a bachelor in social science and I have a master's in sociology. So I don't have a PhD because the ivory tower of academia was not my thing. Um, but so I feel I'm a sociologist, and that's, I'm not saying you need to have a degree for it, but it certainly has shaped how I approach a lot of things, if not
Mm-hmm.
everything in my life, right? Of really, I'm always kind of like asking, oh, why are certain things? Why are we doing certain things? Why is something designed that way? Or why is it so hard to break something up? May it be a habit or like something more on a on a broader structural level, like the way we do business mostly. Like why are some certain things so hard? And also like, okay, who is profiting from this, right? Like what I always kind of like go back to when I also work with people is, well, who is profiting from you feeling sad, bad, ashamed,
Where
anything
follow the
about
money.
your body? Yes, follow the money. Who is profiting of you feeling bad about your body, right? And this, to a certain degree, is I know people are like, oh, that's not revolutionary, but
Actually
there are
think,
not a lot of people doing that.
yeah, because I feel like it's a question that we should ask ourselves more and more. As I was thinking about it, as I was hearing you saying it, it's a question that we don't ask ourselves. Who's benefiting from you feeling like shit? Who's benefiting from you feeling or like pursuing a career and pursuing this capitalistic ideal, right? It's a question that we actually
Yeah.
don't ask ourselves that
No,
much,
because
but it
we're too
is.
busy. We're too busy and too much rushing
Yeah.
through life. We're not taking enough time to breathe
Yeah.
and think critically, and think for ourselves. So I get it, right? Like life is lifing, like it's fine, but like I approach it from like a point of no shame, and yet we need to really start thinking more critically
Yeah.
again to think more critically.
But I do feel like 2020 helped us with that. I know that it helped me because for once we were all stopped. Like we were all at home and it did not feel like someone else was going further and you were stuck. Like the
Yeah.
entire world, you could not feel bad. The entire world was at home. And the fact that people were able to work from home and to still exist, of course, there was some downside, of the lockdown for sure. But I feel like it forced us to be like, wait, what are we doing exactly with this work thing? Because I can work from home and I
Yes.
can work 4 hours a day and be fine and be actually more productive and more happy. I feel like 2020 forced us to be more critical. Will it
It was
last?
a
I don't know,
catalyst for
but
sure. It was a catalyst for sure. Did it last? I don't
that's yeah,
think so.
yeah.
And we also must see, to say it was a catalyst and it helped us to slow down is a very privileged viewpoint too, right? There were a lot of people who were working on the front lines who did not have this
My
option.
mother didn't never stop working, never.
Yeah. So it's surely, but it was, and I agree for a lot of us, it was the case of be maybe having like a breather and a stopping point to be like, wait a minute. And and then, of course, a lot of businesses now are rolling back their work from home policies, right?
Yep,
Because
more and more.
I mean, one, control, and B, well, you have all this office space. Why? you,
You're paying
you need to
rent
fill
in
it.
a very expensive city, so you need to,
Exactly. That
get the
where
money
actually
in.
people
Yeah.
should live. So,
But you know what?
but
I feel maybe it's like I don't know. This cynism is me. In me. I feel like there's this sense that they also don't want to see their workers too happy. I'm not talking necessarily about small business, but I have this thing of people were so happy with the work from home
yeah,
at such a high level. I mean, some people, at least the balance, work from
yeah,
home
yeah.
with a little bit of work at the office, and I feel like it's just some pissed people off and being like, you're not supposed to be more happy than me, so just come back to the office.
Yes, that's surely that's something very human. To kind of like always compare each other, but also I truly believe we currently in a very late stage capitalistic system, system wherein it's capitalism, right? Like, and capitalism does not like happy people, right?
Exactly.
Because happy
You're
people
not
don't
supposed
buy
to.
shit. They don't buy shit you don't need, right? It's
Yeah.
if someone is fully content and happy with their life, has
Yeah.
nothing to fix, no body mass to lose, like nothing,
No insecurities. No, you're good.
people are would be spending less. Like, this is my strong held belief. And that, yeah, they're just less
So happiness makes you
you're less
save money. Being
profitable.
happy makes you save money, basically.
Well, you spend it differently, for sure. You might not
That's true. Yeah.
spend, like I always say, you might not spend in the short run, right? But for long term, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Like, maybe
More
I
mindfully
always,
as well, I guess.
yeah, I always like to bring like the fashion example, right? Is it cheaper for the short run to buy something from like a fast fashion brand? Sure. But it probably will fall apart after 1, 2, 3, 4,
washes.
5 washes. Yes. While it's something that is made ethically, sustainably, proper materials, labor, it will last you longer, saving you money over time. But also, we're so much now that we're kind of like, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's always something that you have to think of. Okay, is it just me right now, like, or over a certain period of time? There's always a price to pay, and there's always someone paying the price. So I would just always be curious. Okay, what?
And there's
What price do I
someone
pay?
who's always benefiting from you chasing
Oh
that to
God,
fill
yes,
your
absolutely,
life with
absolutely,
things with
absolutely.
with things. There's always someone at the end who wants you actually. It's interesting because they create a lack and insecurity, and they also create the like the
The solution for it.
the solution. Like
No,
I
it's
keep
perfect marketing.
I keep being so surprised every time I see people talking about, oh, you know that 10 years ago, I don't know, peach fuzz on the face was not an insecurity. Like there's so many insecurities, particularly about the woman's body, that have been created. This
Yeah.
thigh gap thing was not a thing.
Oh yeah, that was a huge social media thing.
That was a moment. Like I remember it clearly. The thigh gap was a moment. It's just we keep creating insecurities. Now it's
Yeah.
hair on your arms. Like it's just they
Oh
keep
yeah.
creating.
Are you old
It's
enough
insane.
to like remember that was a particularly fun one? If your kind of like boobs were too big or too saggy, if they would hold if you would stick a pencil under your breast,
I
and
do
then your breast,
remember that. It was
that was like,
I was growing up.
what?
Yeah,
What? Like,
I do remember that. Oh my God, this is exactly how something starts. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that was a throwback indeed. It was the thing of if you can hold, then it's not good, but if it falls, then you're in the clear.
Your
You're
breasts are
safe.
good. Yeah, your breasts
You're
are
pretty.
good. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
but I
pretty
mean, you
for
still need
whatever
the push-up bra
standard.
though. Like now that they're good, but you still need the push-up. You still need to.
Oh, you can always do something. You could always need a little touch up here and there, or like it's always something,
Always.
right?
That's insane.
And it's, I mean, it's always, yeah. Looking back at the more accessible certain things come, the more pressure there is, right? We see it, for example, with these weight loss drugs, right? The more accessible they become, the more pressure there is to, well, just jab one, just take one, like it don't hurt, right? The more, like the less expensive they get, the more ready, available they are. Like it just changes how we approach things. And yeah, it will be interesting to see what it does with the body positive movement or the body neutrality movement or any kind of sort of body movements. And over time, we don't know
I'm
yet,
grateful
right?
for the body positivity because it gave us vocabulary. Now I don't know if it lasted the way it wanted to last. I don't know if, unfortunately, in time, I mean, we will see with the prevalence of social media and filters, etc., etc. But
Yeah.
I am grateful for the fact that we now have vocabulary to talk about these things, at least. I didn't grow up with even the word body positivity. It was not even, a words that we were using. So I'm grateful that movements like that, maybe they don't last the way we want them to last, but at least they leave us with something, with a legacy of a vocabulary. And for a place and time, we talked about it, and
Yeah.
at least we have the words to talk about it. But then, does it last, and does it work the way we want it to work, quote unquote? That's always the question for every movement, I believe.
Oh, sure, 100%. And there are other, I don't know, if I'm bringing my sociological goggles,
Yes.
like with any kind of movement, right? You have
Yes.
it's getting co-opted by capitalism, right? You will have always people like,
All the time.
I'm very body positive, but like it's just kind of like the next trend platform for them to sell you shit.
Then it becomes a T-shirt, and they sell it at
Exactly,
the
and it becomes
drugstore.
a coffee mug, and it comes whatever kind of shit. So it creates kind of like new consumption imperatives, like love yourself by buying our products.
You will love yourself
show
more
your-
if you buy that. Yeah.
Exactly. You show everyone
your
you love-
allegiance.
Exactly. Show everyone that you love yourself when you have this t-shirt. Okay? Huge problem. The other thing, especially with the body positivity movement, is it's only kind of like an individual solution to structural problems. And that's a lot of my issues with like coaching and therapy. It places the burden of change on individuals. Just love yourself. Yes, and mindset is a huge, huge thing. Don't get me wrong. But if you ignore systemic issues like fat phobia that exists, racism, ableism, any kind of ism, you're not doing yourself or society a favor. You need to, the path forward is with social awareness and not just like...
And with community, with collective, not
Yes.
just individual. Loving
Yeah.
myself, loving my body on my own will not change the fact that other people don't, or the structural issue of food desert in some countries, or access
Yes.
to a doctor in
or
a
just
timely
proper
fashion.
medical treatment, right? You
Seeing a
have-
doctor when you're sick.
Exactly. Or getting a real or proper diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is usually personal for me. I had a lot of health issues being talked down because of my weight. And it's like, yeah, like, just have you tried yoga? Might not be the best advice all the time, right?
Yeah.
So there are structural...
Changing also the propaganda, like what we perceive as a healthy body or as a unhealthy body. Like thinness does not mean healthy, fatness does
No.
not mean unhealthy.
No.
And it's so interesting. I talked about that. I talked about eating disorder on a previous podcast, and I mentioned the fact that it's so interesting for me because I had a problem with eating disorder growing up, and because of Instagram really made the problem worse because of all of those fitness influencers, right? And it was so interesting because now, almost 10 years later, you have those fitness influencers coming back and saying, that was eating disorder. I was not healthy back then. I was underfed, over-exercised. I was not healthy, but still they were put on that pedestal of the summum, the best, the healthiest person on the app, right? But we associate as a group, as a world, as a society, we do associate thinness with health and fatness with unhealthy. And regardless of me buying the shirt or not, regardless of me doing the work individually, as you were saying, you know, it won't change the fact that we need to change the propaganda. We need it's the whole system, it's the whole structure. And blaming me for hating my fat or my thin body, or blaming me for loving my thin or fat body, unfortunately will not move the agenda.
No, it will be more
forward.
interesting to ask, okay, why do you hate your body in the first place? Because when you
Who
were,
told you that? Who taught you to hate
that?
yourself?
Exactly, because I'm pretty sure when you were like a wee teeny tiny baby, you did not hate your body. But the thing is, you were also not positive about your body, right?
You were just existing in your body.
It was just body is just body. A body is neutral. Body is just is, and body doesn't need to be positive or anything, right? It's just is. And then it's also curious to think, okay, but how did this thought got planted in my brain of, oh, my body is not good enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not whatever it is.
Oh my God, I was at the potluck with friends, and one of the host, she asked us, can you remember the first comment that you had about your body? She asked all of us. We were just a woman, and she was like, can you remember the first comment that you had on your that made you aware of your body? And every single one of us was below the age of 10. Some of us going to like 3, 4, 5 years old. And it's crazy that we still remember that.
Yeah.
It's because it's still a messaging in our brain. But you need to go back to that source, not just the next best thing, the quick fix. You need to go to the root. We all need to go to the root of,
exactly.
when was that implemented in your little brain, that your body is a thing, that your body matters more than who you are,
but
right?
see, even that, like, you're not making money off of people who are going to the root, right? You make money of buying people quick fixes, right?
You make more money faster.
Yeah. I mean, sure, you make someone, if you go to therapy to work at the root core.
Yeah, but
someone a therapist is making money of you. Yes, but that's good for them. Good for them. Go see a therapist.
Not the corporations.
Go see a therapist. But you buying, I don't know, whatever latest wellness gimmick there is because you feel this will somehow fix something, much more profitable.
So we do believe from a very young age that we are broken, in need of fixing, right?
Not all of us, but surely.
I mean, yeah.
But I'd say yes. Especially people who grow up as as women. When I look at friends or when I talk to clients, a lot of the things that we struggle with come back to our formative years. So 0 to 7, roughly, give or take. And it's a lot of things, right? I mean, my boomer parents surely were not aware of most of this. And other things were also just neglect in a way, right? You were not protected against, I don't know, body comments of all sorts, right? It can go either way. If you tell a child, oh, should you really be eating this? Like, it will have a consequence.
Yeah.
It would also have a consequence if you tell your pretty daughter every time she wears a pretty dress, you're like, oh, you look so pretty wearing this dress, right? Like, it will always have an impact and consequences later in life, right? It's hard to predict what the consequences could be, but it could play out either way, depending on what are the influences, like upbringing, friend groups.
Who said it? How often? Like, and I guess
media
also the person,
is a big thing. Yes. I mean, I grew up thinking Kellogg's Special K is a full and proper breakfast.
With you need a tall glass of milk.
Yeah, but low
A
fat, the lowest fat possible, but just white water.
Nutella. I don't know if you have that. Of course, the
Yeah,
Nutella. You
yeah,
need
yeah.
it for breakfast, okay? And a bowl of cereal and cow milk, and have an orange juice or some kind of juice. That was the good breakfast. And it's true that it was propaganda. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I want us to stay on like women and being socialized because the topic that I really wanted to address was the fact that women are nice, are we are supposed to be nice and to stay nice, and in the same realm of, we're socialized a certain way when it comes to our body and the perception of our body, at the same time of being hyper focused on our body from a very young age. We're also socialized to stay kind and to be nice at
Yeah.
all time, forever, and no matter the consequences. Even if your life is in danger, even if you don't feel comfortable, even if you don't like it, even if you feel bad, right?
Yeah.
We are socialized. Be nice, stay nice.
Yes, 100%. And it's funny that nice has a lot of issues for women and for men too, right? Because if men wanted to be nice, that's not good because that's not masculine energy, right? Whatever Mark Zuckerberg wants more in his company of. But so yes, like okay, just to acknowledge this, but let's circle back to women. Also important to kind of like look at the distinction between nice and kind. I don't really want to use them interchangeably. To me, being nice is often more like surface level pleasantness. It's kind of like external validation driven. And being kind is more internally motivated. Like something can be kind, but it can appear like absolute bitch face, right?
Got it.
Right? There's a difference, but it's tricky, and they're often. But let's say niceness is often performative.
And also, everything that's nice, it's not necessarily kind. You can be nice but not kind. You can be
100%.
nice
100%.
out of obligation or out of survival.
100%.
And it's not being kind, right? So it's not,
Like
I see, yeah.
Yeah, and I really, this is what also I've wrote on social media a couple of times. Niceness is kind of like a sophisticated tool of social control, especially for women and marginalized groups, right? Let's look at, there are different levels to it, right? You could say, okay, power dynamics and control. Be nice. It's often kind of like used to silence people. Just be nice, or if you look at it intersectionally, there is nothing probably that gets punished more in discourse on social media or in discourse is like the angry black woman, right?
Yep.
Like, no, you cannot be angry.
Don't you
Women
dare.
cannot be angry, and dare you be black and angry.
It's a threat. It's an insult. Yeah.
And so it's kind of like helps maintain existing power structures, but without obvious force, right? It's kind of like it's silently weaving its way in. And it's really good at kind of like creating self-policing behavior, right? Because you're like, oh no, I cannot do this. I would just want to be perceived as nice. Okay, so I'm not gonna like talk
I'm
up
supposed to be
or
nice.
talk
I cannot
back
do
or-
that.
Yeah, so it's self-policing. Love this. Great, right? Makes it so much easier to manage people. It's also has also economic impact when, it's just nice of you to cook dinner every evening, right? It keeps people doing unpaid emotional labor much easier, right? For example, it also discourages salary negotiations.
That's exactly, I had that in mind. I was like, when you said economic, I was like,
cold, like
you're not going to ask for more. You're nice. I'm
Yeah.
nice. I'm not going to bother. I'm
Yeah,
not going to go into my
exactly.
HR or whatever and ask for more or ask for what I deserve.
yes. So it makes it makes it harder to set boundaries in general, right? Like, yes, sure, I can take your kids to this. I'm a nice person. I like to think of myself as a nice person. This is what nice people do. The social conditioning, right? Like it starts very early. like we already said,
Yeah.
formative years. Just be a nice girl. Don't be difficult. Don't take up so much space. Don't talk so loud. Don't whatever. It's just
And
whatever
you
is the
are
image of the
re-
nice girl.
and you are rewarded as soon as you seem nice. Oh my god, that's so nice. Oh my god, she's
Of
so
course, yes,
nice. Your
yes.
daughter is so
It's
nice. Oh my
getting
god, she's so
reinforced
nice.
and
You know,
getting
when
praised.
you're just being polite, it's like, oh my god, you're so nice. That's so nice of you. And of course, it's always to the young girls, right? It's not often that that you hear about your cousins or your brothers being like, oh my god, he's so nice. No, the young girls, oh my god, she's so nice, she's so polite, she's so quiet, she's so
Yes.
and that's rewarded, so that you think that there is some currency
Of
in
course,
that,
you're getting
you
praised.
get
You want
you
more
get
of it.
seen. Exactly. So it becomes almost a trade, something that you trade for whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's what I think is really also what makes it tricky is it once you kind of like have this internalized oppression, you're self-policing.
Yeah.
You
So there's like two directional forces, right? There's this what looks like a soft power, where it is expected of you to be nice from
yeah,
from external, from society, this external force that
yeah.
is pushing you to be nice, but also from within, it's changing you because you're like, okay, I need to be nice. I have to be nice. It's nice will get me further in life, or nice will keep me
Well,
safe.
yeah, if in workplace, you nice people are often the team players, right? Or if you're in
Yeah.
school, oh, she's so well behaved, right? Like there are different words for it, but it's really, I would say, what for yourself. When was the last time you did something just to keep the peace, to avoid a conflict? Right? Was that because you really wanted to do the right thing, or was it right, you were focusing on being liked, you wanted to avoid a conflict with your spouse, you wanted to, I don't know, make someone happy, whatever it is, right? And it's often something only you can decide for yourself. Like something can, it's hard to know from the outside, right? It's sometimes you just, I don't know, you might be genuinely enjoying cooking dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Then yes, please go cook dinner, right? But if you're cooking dinner because you know if you don't,
It's gonna start a turmoil,
it's
then it
gonna start
becomes a transaction.
yeah,
Yeah.
or you, I don't know, you have, God forbid, you have a spouse who's kind of like makes it like, oh, but then I don't know, I cannot cook dinner for myself, kind of like this institutionalized
Whatever incompetence, weaponized
weaponized
incompetence.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like just really look at you, ask yourself, okay, like what is
What are you
coming?
doing that for?
Exactly.
Like,
And
why are you being? So there is a sense of losing yourself then, because you are being nice, but you're not being true. Like, you're not being honest, right? Like, you're not, because if I'm doing something just to be nice, but I don't want to do it,
yeah,
then you're not being true to yourself and who you really are. So there's a sense of losing yourself, right? Or am I?
no, I think that's true. Let's look at, like, when someone tells a woman to be nice, I'd say what they often mean is like, don't challenge authority, like don't speak up, don't take up space, don't stand up for your needs, don't show anger. We already had that. Like, don't rock the boat, just kind of like play along, put others first. Like, this is something that gets exploited in emotional labor in systems like the church. It's like, stay small, stay quiet, stay compliant, like all these things that we attribute as like how a woman should be. If, I don't know, if you're a quiet person, that is totally cool, right?
Yeah.
But if you're someone who is loud,
But if you became
deny
quiet
that.
because of those forces, then
Yeah.
that's another story, I guess.
yes, exactly, and then you're kind of are denying yourself, your true self, and yes, and that goes back to what you said, Celine, right? Like you're
it's
being inauthentic in a way.
it's so true because as you're saying that, I think that's what happened to me. I became quiet and small because I thought that this is what I was supposed to do to get quote unquote what I needed or what I wanted. Because I'm doing this last year. I've done this whole kind of introspective year of going back to who I am or figuring that out, right? And so it involved me looking at old pictures or talking to my mom about what kind of kid I was, etc., doing that whole like self-discovery journey, right? And I was a very vibrant kid, talking to everyone. I love dressing up. I love doing runways in the house, fashion runways, going into my mom's closet. I loved wearing colors and costumes, and I love theater and musicals, etc. And then, teenagers happen and young adulthood happen. And when I look at my pictures, all the colors were gone, all the colors of my wardrobe. And I remember that time of my life where I was just seeking black and white and gray clothing, right? And I was way more quiet and discreet. But hearing what you're saying is like, I think that I became that as a young adult to not be the angry black person, right? To not be... To stay in the line because I drank the Kool-Aid, quote unquote, that niceness would...
Yeah, the nice Kool-Aid.
would bring me further or would make me more palatable to people. And now I'm like, you know what? Absolutely, this is not who I am. Actually, no. And I'm reclaiming that full
Love
force
this journey
because
for you.
I did that journey of being like, actually, I'm not... I mean, I am an introvert, but I am not... who I transformed as a young adult, right? And it is sometimes you can become all of these things because of society, right?
Yes, 100%. And it goes back to two things. One that I said before, right? You realizing this about yourself, right? This is only something you could realize. Yes, if you were talking to a coach or a therapist or someone, they could ask the right questions to get you. And wait a minute, why did my clothing style change, or why did I do certain things? But ultimately, you have to decide. It rings true to me that I did this because of that, right? No one else can tell you that, right? Because you need to know yourself enough to know if it was performative or not. No one else can. And then this be nice to get ahead kind of myth. Oh, I'm like, again.
Is that true though? Is that...
No, well, no, but you said it yourself, right? You thought you had to be nice to get certain things.
Yeah.
And this is often something we do, right? But again, it goes back, it keeps us doing a lot of these things, right? That like, and then the even more funny thing is when you look at like successful people, yes, this is not like the very successful uber rich people. I don't say you should aspire to be them. Not in any way, because no. But when you look at like the tech billionaires, they did not. Yes, they did. First, they made a lot of money by screwing people and resources over. But they were not like, they didn't get ahead because they were nice.
No.
Right?
No.
They were screwing people over. They were like what the hell with boundaries? They just focused on value creation, on doing whatever they wanted, blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with like
niceness, had nothing to do with their bank account. And so it goes back to exactly what you're saying. It's a tool of control so that you keep other people at bay while you are not being nice, right?
Yes.
But I feel like not being nice come at a cost to your humanity and to your life and to, but it goes back to exactly what you say. It's a tool of social control because none of these people are known to be nice. And every single time, after years, you have all those stories coming out, or former employees, former colleagues.
They were horrible people, blah, blah, blah. Yes.
And from the start, they were always rude and just literally unkind. If we talk about kindness,
Yeah.
unkind people who are motivated by greed or social validation, or
Yeah.
and exactly what you say. It's niceness. Being nice becomes a becomes a tool to control and to keep people in line and keep them subdue, I guess, to those
Yeah,
structures.
I mean, not questioning the structure in the first place, right? And but on an individual level, this also, if you want to move away from being nice, you need to train your unlikable muscle. You need to become okay with certain people not liking you.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part.
Because
That is,
there will always be people who do not like you. Then if you're like speaking up for yourself, if you're taking up more space, like
it will happen.
I have so many people who I sort some of semi know that they just can't with me because my voice gets them in a weird way, which is fine. Like it's
But you
okay
know what?
whenever.
It's actually a compliment. I remember the first time that I really met someone who did not like me. It was just a few years ago, 3 years ago. And it was at work, and it was someone they did not like me. But you know what? That's when I gained confidence, because I was like, it means that I'm being myself. Because for my entire
Yeah,
life, I never
you
really met
reframe it like
someone,
this. Yes.
I never really met someone who, like, truly they cannot with me. Just they can't. But then when I met that person, I was like, oh, it means that I'm finally actually being myself, and that I have substance, because I'm finally leaving this people pleasing and molding myself to be liked, like being who I thought people want me to be. Does that make sense? Molding myself to who I think you want
Me
me to
too.
be.
Yes.
And I
Absolutely.
spent so long in that period, so long in my life, right? But then when I left the mold, and someone finally did not like me for who I was like, that it means that I am being someone. It means that I am being myself. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I was actually grateful every time
Mhm.
he would be rude or ignore me, even if I was talking to him. I was like, you know what? I'm actually grateful for that person, because it means that I'm growing, and I'm finally leaving this people pleasing self of mine. So
Yeah.
that was a victory.
Oh, it is, and it's a beautiful reframe, and it's it's something that we all can do a bit more of, and train that muscle a bit more, right? And especially if you have to be comfortable also to start really really small, right?
Yeah.
By practicing saying no in a safe space, and it's maybe to teeny tiny things, right? Maybe when all your family wants to, I don't know, maybe your entire family wants to go for pizza tonight, but you're
And
really
that's not
like,
what you
I
want to
don't want
eat.
pizza. I want to have Chinese food.
Yeah.
Then you could, of course, you can say, oh no, okay, let's go with pizza because it's easier, it's less fuss for the kids, whatever. Again, this can be okay in a situation, right? Like, but at the same time, if you're really like, no, I really want to go for Chinese, like, there's no reason why we shouldn't go, like, no money issue, no dietary issues, whatever, right? You can say, no, you know what? I want to go for Chinese today.
And see how it goes. See that the world still keeps going. You're fine. No one hates you. They don't hate you. You
Yeah.
end up eating Chinese, and you're good. I
Yeah.
think that's what we need to see, that the world is safe when we say no. We don't see that
Yes.
enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. I mean, we fear. I mean, I really think society has trained us to a certain degree that likability is safety, right? If we're
Yes.
being
Ooh.
liked, if we're being nice, we're being safe, right? We're not.
Particularly as a woman, and as a woman next, let's just say,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Like, or as a black woman, if I'm being perceived as nice, I'm being perceived as safe. If I'm angry, I'm perceived as unsafe, as a threat. So it's a lot of systematic conditioning that plays into it.
Yeah.
So always, yeah, be curious at that, and practice saying no to teeny tiny things in a setting that feels safe for you.
I think that the practicing is key. because when I say, dear woman, please stop being nice, I really mean it, because it's something that I'm trying my best to say to everyone. But sometimes people get offended when I say it, because I truly believe that women are way too nice, even when our lives are in danger. I don't like hearing stories of you smile. I understand it because I've done it myself, but I don't like hearing stories of you smile to someone on the tube, or you smile to, to be safe or to make him comfortable. And I'm like, this is the type of behavior that we need to unlearn and retrain ourselves to truly stop being so nice in certain situations. I truly want that for women, but I understand that there is some survival sometimes, your sense of safety. But I want us to challenge ourselves and create a world where life still goes on and we're still okay, even after saying no, even after being even after being perceived as rude. Because if someone is harassing you in public and you are rude, you're not. It's actually not being rude. It's you answering and you protecting your peace, right? You will be perceived as rude by someone, but you're not being rude if someone is threatening your integrity and your safety. That's not rude. That's you defending yourself, protecting your peace.
Yeah.
But we are so scared of being perceived as rude. Oh my God, what is he going to think? Or what are people around us or, in public are going to think? It does not matter. Being perceived as rude does not matter, because you're not being rude. You're being true and honest.
Yes. And always, right, always decide if this is like, it's about to win the war, not the battle necessarily, right? Like if you're walking home alone at 3 a.m. in the morning and someone is passing you, it might be really the safest option just to smile back at them, right? Like, or whatever, right? If your spidey senses tell you to just be nice now, to kind of like avoid anything.
But I don't even know if that will make you avoid anything.
No. Ultimately, you cannot. You cannot.
Yeah,
and
that's the scary part.
Exactly. And I also don't want this to turn into any sort of victim blaming, right?
No.
Like, absolutely 100% not. But at the same time, sometimes you need, in every situation, right? And this is sadly what we need to deal with. In every situation, you kind of like have to figure out how can I just not let this become a potentially life-threatening situation?
Yes.
And
because
if that means being nice in this instant, if that's the safest course of option, it's the safest thing to do for you, then do that, right? Like, we are in this place, but at the same time, yes, ideally I want people to stop doing things because it's kind of like expected of them.
Exactly, because it is expected when you are at 3 a.m. or, I mean, whenever actually, when you are outside, it is expected of you to be nice. It is really expected of you to answer those disrespectful comments with a smile. It is expected of you to have this behavior of not talking back, right? And their whole course of action of them harassing you is based on the fact that you will never stand up. They don't expect you to actually say something.
Yeah.
And you see those videos of when women actually
talk back,
say something back, the men are like, I did not what the scenario, like you kind of went off script now, you went kind of improv in the situation.
Why you're confusing.
Why are you talking back? This is improv. We're not improving. You're supposed to follow the script where I say something rude and you say something nice and I say something rude.
Thank
and then
you.
I say thank you and you say, you ask for it. Like, they have those scenarios in their mind. And because it happened to me, because I'm saying this as someone, every single time that happens to me, I make a point to not be nice. And I say to myself, like you say, training the muscle, right? I'm like, I do not want to be in that situation. I do not want to talk to that person. And I do not want to be nice. I don't want to smile. I'm forcing myself to do it. And it's hard. My heart is going very fast. And of course, I'm scared. but I'm forcing myself to train the muscle of I will not play that part. In that situation right now, I'm putting it all on the line. I'm scared right now, but, and honestly, almost all of the men, they never expect that you say something, that you are rude, or just say no, or that you say something completely outlandish, or that you talk back. They really, it put them in a moment of like, what? And that's the 2 seconds that you have to walk faster and to escape the situation, because they are so unsettled by it.
Muffled.
But it does take practice. I'm forcing myself to be like, I refuse to smile. I don't want to smile. I'm scared. I'm scared right now for my life. I don't want, I do not want to be nice to you, and also why you're talking to me. But it's something that takes, unfortunately, effort. But like you say, you can start in small, safe space.
Yeah, if you, I mean, I'm not a runner, but if you start training for a marathon, you don't start with a marathon. You don't even start with half a marathon. You start with your first fucking mile, right? And, or your first 100 meters, like, whatever, right?
You have to start somewhere.
So small. Yeah, and we always, like, a lot of us tend to kind of like set a goal and then don't reach it. Then maybe it's too far-fetched. Maybe you'd have to start smaller.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
But then it's also interesting to, if we say, okay, we don't want nice, so what then do we want, right? What else is there? And that is like a concept I'm pondering a lot at the moment. I kind of like named it wild kindness. It's something that's given freely but not owed. It's self-advocacy, right? Like, it's you advocating for yourself, you're being true to yourself, but it's wrapped in compassion, right? We need more kind people, basically, right? But the switch is, it's an act of being authentically caring, but without sacrificing your own boundaries or your own truth. And I think this is what we need. So much more.
But that's the hard part, not sacrificing your boundaries, still being kind.
Sure.
Because I feel like we were raised to be boundarless. Is that a word? Like, I feel like women were raised to actually have the least amount, or the weakest boundaries when it comes to our body, when it comes to ourselves. I feel like women were really raised to be people with the weakest, smallest boundaries. And so therefore, we don't know how to preserve something that we were not taught to have. I don't know where my boundaries are as a woman. I'm supposed to, I'm in the imagination of society, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve people. That is not me, particularly as a Black woman, right? It's like, I'm here to serve society. I'm here to serve people. I'm here to serve men. I'm here to serve everyone. So I don't even know where my boundaries are. And so when the question is, I'm supposed to be kind, but keep my boundaries, like, what? I don't even know what my boundaries are. I don't even know where do I find these?
Yeah.
How do I
find
my boundaries?
Exactly. And this is not a personal flaw. This is not unique to you, right? This is the system working, right? The idea of this boundary-less caregivers, right? Capitalism would not be working as efficiently without the unpaid emotional labor of.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. Yes.
Right? So the system is working as designed, and you're working as everything is. It's not your flaw, right? It's but
you're playing your part just like you were supposed to.
Yeah, you're a good cog in the wheel, right? Like, but I'd say, well, how do we start discovering our boundaries? Again, no one can tell you where your boundaries are. Something that might be really cool for me might be super uncool for you. So where do we start? I'd say start with physical sensations. They're always there. You just kind of like maybe need to slow down and notice them. So notice when your body tenses up, when you start to feel uncomfortable, maybe when your lower abdomen gets all squishy, right? Or when you're feeling super low energy. What is your gut feelings? Or when are you like super drained? Or when are you super jazzed up?
So when you feel like an emotion, start associating.
Well, not the
Start
emotion, the
seeking.
physical sensation that comes before the emotion. The physical
Yeah,
sensation.
start associating that with what you feel in. Like, go back to your body and be like, how do I feel right now?
Yes. Yeah.
What am I literally feeling in my
Yeah.
body right now?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Like, do I like?
And how will that inform your boundaries?
Well, it will start with you discovering your boundaries. We're not at enforcing your boundaries. You said, I don't even know what my boundaries are. So you
Yeah.
first need to figure out what are your boundaries so you can go enforce them,
Yeah.
right? Like emotional patterns, like where do you feel obligated rather than willing to do something? Or notice when you say, I should be doing the dishes right now. Or how often do you apologize? Or whenever your voice is kind of like hesitating or crackling. There could be different telltale signs. They're individual to each and every one of us. But like, pay attention when you minimize your needs. When you think
Because
you're
at
less
that
important.
moment, those little moments, it's the moment where your integrity is like where that's your boundary. When you reach that emotion, it means that you step into a territory that's like uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that means that your integrity or your honesty, your true self is being, I don't know, is in jeopardy. Maybe it's a big word, but like,
Yeah, I mean, if you keep on doing things and things over and over again, it might be in jeopardy or not. But it surely, you will feel different if you do something that is truly something you want to do, or
Yeah.
if it's something you're feeling you're kind
you
of
have
like
to do.
silently forced to do,
Yeah.
right?
And then it's about it's about having the courage to say no when you do not want to do the thing. That's when you start being kind and you stop being nice. It's when you recognize that actually I don't want to do that, or I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
So I will say no to that
Yeah.
with compassion and kindness for the person and empathy,
Oh God, always. Yes.
but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, what really helped me is switching the focus that boundaries are not about them, they're about me. Right?
Can you expand on that?
Because I cannot make you do something, but
Never,
I
yeah.
can do something for myself. For example, what we do with my son is 5. So when we have a lot of instances when I give you an example. He's he's like doing something that annoys the shit out of me. I tell him, look, this is really annoying to me. Like, that sound makes my ears hurt. Could you please stop? Of course, 9 out of 10, he will not stop because he's a 5-year-old.
It's at that age. It's that age where it's like,
And
I
then
don't
I'm
understand what you're saying.
saying,
I love
look,
the sound.
Then I'm like, look, it's okay that you want to make the sound, but it's not okay for me. It's hurting me. I am going to the next room. This is my boundary, and I am enforcing it. Other people would not enforce your boundary. You will have to do that, right? So it's about yourself.
And actually, people will keep testing your boundaries.
Oh, of course, that's their favorite
Over.
game.
Over and over and over
Sure.
and over again. Some people, entire existence around you will be about testing your boundaries and how far they can go with, how much can they get away with. My secret theory is that people who are testing your boundaries are secretly incapable of enforcing them, so they are projecting on you what they cannot do themselves. It's people who they don't have boundaries themselves, so they are forcing you to like
possibly.
be boundarless,
Yeah.
to be who they are. Basically, that's my like secret theory. But like you say, you need to. No one will tell you where your boundaries.
No, and no
are,
one
and it
will
starts with
enforce
the
them for
sensations.
you. You need to do this yourself. And what
That's the scary
the way,
part.
yeah. But it's also yeah, it's also the liberating part, because you can always do this anytime you want, right? Uh, but
But you run the risk. You run the risk of not being liked. Maybe for a few seconds, your son is gonna be
exactly,
like,
that's
"Well,
why I
I'm
said you
I'm
need to
I'm
be
sad."
comfortable with not being liked, especially as a parent, because most of the
Even
time
with
your
people
kids
that
do
you
not like
love, sometimes you won't be liked by people that you love
you. Yeah, yeah,
for a
and
period of time.
oh yeah, I mean, I'm now 2 years without talking to my mother because I enforced that boundary.
Boundaries.
And how, like, I always say enforcing boundaries, it's kind of like talking to a toddler, right? You need to be very, very clear. Like, if we're talking practicalities, right?
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
always be very clear in communication. For example, if someone asks you to do something, a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, oh, I feel so bad, but I'm not sure if I like could squeeze you in," like something along these lines. Familiar? Just say
Yep.
that doesn't work for me. Full stop.
Period. Yeah.
Full stop. Right? And consistent enforcement. Yes, you will need to keep telling it over and over and over again. Like with a toddler, you need to be calm and like you need to just be calm and gentle and just saying, no, this is not working for me. Full stop. No over explanation needed. You don't need to say, this is not working for me because I have another appointment. Not necessary to the cause. It's not working for me, full stop. Right? Like, that's it. Or
Wow. That's
sorry, I
yeah.
might be busy. Maybe next time, right? Or, like, can we meet at like? No, I won't be available. I don't know, after hours. Full stop.
But what if a case, for example, okay, maybe not your toddler, but for example, in the scenario that you mentioned, it's with a full-grown adult who's playing the guitar or a loud instrument, and you say this does not work for me. I'm going into the next room, and they follow you in the next room purposefully, and they follow you into the other room and into the other room and into the other room. In that moment, when you say that does not work for me, you said it 3 times.
Yeah.
How can you? What's the next step? Because clearly they're having a ball out of ignoring your discomfort or your unhappiness or your sadness, whatever. Like what's the next step in that moment? What could be the next step?
The answer that no one wants to hear right now is depends on how the situation is read, right? But if someone keeps coming at you, I mean, if it's a grown ass adult,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, right? Like, it's becoming, I don't know, it probably will become a matter of a threat or something. Please get help. Like, if it's becoming like, if you have someone stalking you, please go get help, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
what you can use to diffuse a situation, as you've said before, confuse them, right? Maybe it helps if you can break the pattern they're in, if you do something unexpected, right? Like what you said before, when
Break the pattern, break the scene, like go improv.
yeah, exactly.
rogue.
When you go off script and they're like, what is happening right now, right? That sometimes maybe resets whatever's going on.
The interaction.
Yeah.
Because they didn't expect you to go off script,
Yeah.
basically.
But I would love to say there is an universal answer to this. If there is, I don't
It's
have
case
it.
by case, right?
Yeah, like how you read the situation, who you're dealing with.
I guess it also depends how often that's happening, right? If it's just to get to make a joke, or if it's something that is a pattern in that person behavior, is that if they're like doing that multiple times, if every single time you're trying to erect your boundaries, they're like, no, I'm not gonna respect it. If it becomes a habit more than something that is spontaneous, then maybe it's time to rethink a few things around yourself and around maybe the person, right? But also in that case, niceness come into play, because you don't want to be. We really have a fear of rudeness, right? Like, I feel like I hear that so much. Oh, but I did not want to be rude. I did not want to be rude. It's as if it's the worst thing that can happen to you is to be perceived as rude. And it is something that is implemented in our mind, I feel, from a very young age. But it's almost like a disease of like, oh my God, don't catch rude. Don't become rude. Rude is the worst thing that can happen to you. Being rude is like, is it really?
Did you die? Did you die though? I mean, this is the thing, right? Sometimes you being rude can actually lead to life-threatening situations.
Yes.
Right? I mean, this is a lot of the things with like with conflict or domestic abuse and things like that, right? You being rude can actually lead to very real
but I do make a difference between being actually rude and being perceived as rude. That's my thing. I think that being perceived as rude can make you can put you in life-threatening situation, because for me, someone rude is like someone being impolite. Some people will say that German are rude. I will not say that myself, but some people will say, for example, German can be rude.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But, like for me, I make the difference between someone perceiving you as rude and you being actually rude. And for me, that exists in two different universes. You don't have to be rude to be perceived as rude. Does that make sense? Maybe it's my subtleties.
No, yes, but the thing is, you ultimately have no control over how you're perceived.
Yes, that is true.
Right?
That is
you can do things.
That is in the eyes of the beholder.
Yes, and that depends on the cultural background of someone, like the age of someone, how they've been raised, religion, a lot of different socio-demographic factors. How you're being perceived as rude or not, right? And I agree. There's maybe things you wouldn't classify as rude, but ultimately, this isn't very helpful if your perpetrator is seeing whatever you're doing as being rude.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Because at the end of the day,
yes, it helps you morally to be, to know like, oh, I haven't done anything wrong, but you never have done anything wrong to begin with. But
factually it does not help, because at the end of the day, your abuser or your aggressor,
perceived, right?
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes the life-threatening situation can just form, because your actions are being perceived as something that you have very little control over. That's why I also say always practice saying no in a safe space. Right? Start
first,
because you just. I want you to be able to say no whenever you mean it. 100%. Are we there yet in our society? Not always.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
So you always have to, for yourself, decide, okay, what I'm going to do now. And then also looking back at situations and not crapping on yourself for the way you behave. Right? Because important. You're always doing the best you can at any given situation.
To stay safe, to stay integral, to keep your physical and mental integrity. Mm-hmm. You are always doing your best. That is true. And I think that the more you are training yourself to say no in safe spaces, the more you'll be able then to read the room and the situation better, to know when you can fully say no and when you can't actually say no. Yeah. Because if you're just trained to say yes all the time, you won't be able to know, when am I safe to say no, when am I safe to say yes.
Yeah.
But by starting small and saying no to your friends first, people that you know will not hate you and will not, kick your ass physically, I say yes, start by saying no to people who will not threaten your physical integrity.
Yeah.
And see that the world is fine. And then go on bigger scale. And then outside, you'll be able to stop being nice when you, and because I feel like it also takes an emotional toll on women to have to smile when you don't want to.
Oh God,
have to smile.
This is half
on your
of the
way
mental load.
on your having to smile on your way back to work after having a shitty day.
Yeah,
or
but
when
you
you
know,
just don't
like,
feel like
why
it.
you,
My God.
most of us feel so exhausted, for example, after Christmas holidays, because we're so exhausted of managing others' perceptions and expectations.
Ooh. Wow, that's true. You have those key moments.
Right?
You have those key moments in the year where it's like I'm exhausted, but not just because of what
You
I've
have
done physically.
exactly. You have everything else: the gifts, the food, the. But the emotional exhaustion is real, and why most of us it's managing others' expectations and
We're managing others' expectation to appear perfect. I don't know, to appear great, to appear
to
jolly.
insert whatever. Yeah. So right, like once,
Wow.
so kind of like if you see, okay, you cannot control how people perceive you because we said perception is colored by people's own traumas, insecurities, cultural conditioning, blah 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 blah, right? So ultimately, start small, but ultimately, I want you to kind of like stop performing for an audience you can't control, right? I want you to release the exhaustion of managing others' perceptions and expectations, and I want you to focus on alignment with your values instead. What do you want? Who are you, and what do you bring to the world? And kind of let go of this impossible task of being all things to all people, because you will not. So training that being okay with being unliked muscle.
That is a word, and being okay with being unliked. And it's funny because last week I had someone on the podcast, and she also talked about values and figure out what you value most, and that's really key to live a better life and to change your mindset.
To know who you are, you need to know what is really important.
Your values. So really sit down with your values, and being okay with being unliked. I feel like it's a big one for, I will be interested to have that conversation with men because maybe it goes different, but I know that at least for women and for the women that I know and for the women that I see, being unlike it's a lot to accept being unlike, but it is a muscle that you must train if you want to be integral and to unload that mental load that you're talking about. If you want to feel less tired, I feel like start being kind, but stop being nice you will feel lighter. I feel when I do my little exercises of telling men to get off when they're harassing me, I feel so good afterward. I feel great because I still feel like when I feel great, I feel the same way that before they interacted with me. I still feel okay because it is in the continuity of, I still feel integral. I'm still holding my value. I'm still holding my peace. So
you were true to yourself.
I was true to myself before walking into them, while walking into them, and after walking into them. And I feel even more badass because nothing happened to me and I did not die. And, I feel like I'm training my brain to get over that kind of fear, and I'm retraining my brain when it comes to fear. That's the work that I'm doing this year. So yeah, thank you so much for these words of wisdom. And if you, from your point of view as a sociologist, right, with your expertise, I'd say, what would be your best, after everything that we say, what would be your best advice for someone who's trying to, like we say, live a better life, a more fulfilled, aligned life with their values? What would you say to someone what words would you say to someone who's in search of that?
Maybe that if you're like true well-being is with social awareness and true community, and not by bypassing it.
Happiness is in the collective.
Yes.
Fulfillment, all of these things. Peace, fulfillment is in the collective.
Yes, you cannot bypass it. right? Because
And it's not your, yeah,
this is what currently is happening in this like late stage capitalism / me neoliberalism shit show, right? Like it's kind of like making you feel that systemic problems are like the healing of that is an individual problem, and it's not. Like you cannot bypass social structure, social awareness, community systems, whatever. It's you need work on both, and solely and just blending one out. It's not helping. You cannot think your way positively out of fat phobia, out of like out of being poor. Like there are structural components, and we need to be aware of them. We need to solve anything while being aware of them, but we having social awareness and not bypassing it.
It starts with community. We need to build community and be okay with putting the collective first. I think this is what I fail to see more and more, is that people are less and less inclined to put the collective first. And as a Caribbean person, it's very new to me, because in the Caribbean culture is all about the collective first. And then from the collective, you get your individual happiness, etc., etc. You feed from the happiness and the development.
This is very much a white Western thing. I mean, there are some also Asian countries, but yes, a lot of like Southern African, Southern American, Asian countries.
It's all about the collective first.
There are different approaches to it, for sure.
Yeah.
And in my experience, this is very much a very white Western thing, sadly. Yeah. And we cannot bypass it, right? We need to, for us to do well, everyone needs to do well.
Well, and on those beautiful words, thank you so much for sitting down with me. The job is to build community. I'm all for community first, building in real life where you are, your actual neighbors, your actual colleagues, you have so much in common with your neighbor. You guys live at the same place, probably shop at the same place, probably eat the same thing. So let's build community. Let's figure out our values, right? Let's practice saying no in safe and small spaces, and not be afraid to love ourselves out loud. That's my thing. The more you love yourself, the more you love the collective, and the more you love the collective, the more you love yourself. It's like this vicious circle of beautiful love. Thank you so much from Switzerland. I plan on visiting. I listened to Swiss German. I thought I speak German because and I was like, nope, it's not the same at all. It's not the same.
No, oh God, no, it's not the same at all. There are some German dialects that understand Swiss German rather well, especially like the southern, like Schwabe.
Yeah.
Like they get it more or less, because what they say we just say li, like spätzle, spätzli, but it is now very, very, very niche. But they understand. Very different. They understand it better. But hey, there are Swiss people that I do not understand, where I'm actually like, what did you just say? Like
that is comforting to me.
What? Or the worst, when I see them writing Swiss German, I'm like, what is going on? Like,
am I speaking to someone from another planet or another country? What is
could very well be, because I have no idea what they just said.
Well, that is comforting to me, because when I listen to Swiss German on YouTube, I was like, okay, is it just me, or is it this is not German?
Yeah,
this is another language. So
it's bonkers.
But
We're
anyway,
7 million people and we cannot understand each other. It's bonkers.
Well, that's great for community. But anyway, I plan on visiting Switzerland. That is one of my dream countries. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your input. I really encourage everyone to follow you on every single social media, because your wisdom is great. The services that you are offering, color reading, I saw, EFT tapping, life coaching, business, is absolutely gold. And we see the alignment and the love that you have within yourself, and that you're giving to people through your gift. And so thank you so much. Keep being great, keep shining your light, and keep sharing all your posts and your knowledge and your wisdom, because it helps changing the world by shining your light and sharing your wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Solène. And if you're ever coming to Zurich, let me know. We'll go for coffee.
I will. You will be probably the first person that I text. Have a great Tuesday.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.